storylines once again that we've picked out ahead of the hurling league. So Limerick's approach to the league this year and to the summer in general. Sheedy's Tipperary, we're going to be chatting about that. The Cats and the Shadows, are they going to come back with a bang this year? Clare's next step, and then the new era at Waterford. Tommy Walsh is still with us. Tommy, we're going to start with Limerick there, and the Limerick approach specifically to this year's National League, because with no relegation this year, it's an interesting question for every county, but then there is still an opportunity for Limerick to utilise the lack of a relegation threat in the league to give them a springboard to get back to where they were at last year.
Yeah, and I think, say, in the old system, when it was knockout championship, it was grand going hard at it in the league, full belts, which are full team for the 5 or 6 games. But I think the way we have 4 or 5 games in the, kind of the league, the Munster League or the Leinster League Championship now during the summer, that I think you can't take the league too intensely, as in picking the same team the whole time. So I think this will suit Limerick as All-Ireland champions on, because now they don't have to pick their best team every time in the danger of being relegated. This is their first time up in Division 1A since 2010. They're going down to Wexford Park this Sunday. Like, where else would you rather go? Like, probably the best supporters in Ireland when they're there. And I'd love to be down there at that game, because, you know, the All-Ireland champions coming down to Wexford Park. Like, we've seen Limerick, we've seen how they've carried themselves since the All-Ireland. The one thing that I'd be always worried about, especially new All-Ireland champions, is, especially the way, you know, the professionalism, we're kind of watching other sports now, is that they don't celebrate it. They don't enjoy the victory, that they try and park it straight away and look forward to next year trying to get the most out of themselves. But they were able to do both. And I've met a few of them on different occasions, and wonderful guys, like, and, you know, real happy, delighted to have won the All-Ireland. And listen, in January then we'll get back down to it, and, you know, I'm sure they were still doing their gym programmes and still doing maybe a little bit of running on the side. So I was delighted and congratulating them the way they carried themselves after the All-Ireland. This year, I think what's important for John Kiely is, and I said it about Galway last year, is he going to pick guys? Because these guys have won the All-Ireland for Limerick since first time since 1973, after so much heartbreak. Is he now going to put all his faith in them guys? So you say if 2 or 3 of the main guys from last year, maybe Kyle Hayes and maybe Shane Dowling and, you know, Mike Casey and a few of them, say they start going out of form in a hurling well, is he going to stay picking them because they've done it last year? Because you can often fall into that mindset. These guys, they haven't let us down on the big occasion before, they won't let us down again. I think when you're trying to win back-to-back All-Irelands, you have to keep lads on their toes. And if there's a lad putting up his hand in training, Peter Casey or Barry Murphy or some of these guys, if they're putting up their hand in training saying, I want to play in this team, well, then I think you have to pick him. So I'll be interested to watch the team selection from John Kiely, especially when he has everyone back fit. I know that there's a few injuries coming up this weekend. I think Mike Casey, they could have a problem with full-back position in the first match or two, because I think Mike Casey is injured. Sure, Richie MacCarthy, or the Warrior himself, is, you know, out for another few months recovering from a cruise ship. Seamus Hickey retired during the winter. So I'm not sure, maybe some of the Limerick guys will know, there might be someone from the club scene, or one of the cornerbacks, Richie English, or that might step in. But, you know, yeah, it'll be interesting to see when they've their full panel back at full health. Will John Kiely pick the lads that are in form, or will he stick to the guys that won it last year?
Tommy, what sort of effect do you think it's going to have, the fact that the league is being restructured next year? Like you talk about Limerick there, and I think it's the last 7 years in a row, prior to last year, they couldn't get out of Division 1B, and it was a big source of angst. Like their spring, their league always finished on a real down note when they took, and now they got up to Division 1A, and they're restructuring the league anyway. So everyone's going to be in a kind of two or sort of split Division 1 next year. Like, the league has been brilliant in hurling for the last few years, particularly because the teams that lose early on, Kilkenny's been the case in point last year, they lose early on, they're under pressure, so they have to get it together, they have to, you know, they have to get something going to win games. But the fact that pressure's not there now, like, is there any particular team you see that having a big effect on, or will it just be as a whole, like in terms of how competitive the league is, it'll have some sort of effect?
Yeah, well, I think what happened, like, you're wondering about Limerick, you know, are they going to say, oh God, we've tried for the last 8-9 years trying to get out of here. Suddenly we get out of here and you know, they do what we wanted them to do all along, which was, you know, merge the 2 leagues. No, I don't think they'll care, for the simple reason of the result of what happened last August. Yeah. So they won't care at this stage, because it was the springboard doing so well in the league and getting out of the league last year for them. I think was one of the major springboards for them to go on and win the All-Ireland, because they knew then they could do it in the white heat of battle. For the rest of the teams, like when I was playing in the National Hurling League for with Kilkenny all them years, I think that's the way it's gone back, where, you know, if you did well in the league, great, and if you don't, you know, that there's no real big threat of relegation. What it means is, especially for the youngsters, that they can be picked, that the manager isn't worried about results. He's worried about finding players for the championship. So I think the league is going to, while the results won't matter a whole lot, you know, obviously they like to stay winning, but they won't be the be all and end all. What will be very important though to the managers is finding players, because we all seen it's a tough campaign once you get into that Leinster campaign or the Munster campaign. You have, you know, 4 matches in 5 weeks, or it might be a little bit different this year, but it's still a tough campaign. A lot of matches in a short period, pick up a lot of injuries, so you need a big panel. We've seen the All-Ireland champions last year, Limerick. They used their panel and were probably the team that best used their panel last year. So I think that's what the likes of Liam Sheedy, the likes of Brian Cody, the likes of Pádraig Fanning below Waterford, they'll be trying to find players during this league. And listen, at the end of the day, while it mightn't be the be all and end all winning or losing, form still matters. And if you, especially for likes of a new manager coming in, likes of Sheedy or Fanning, they come in and get a few wins under their belt early. Suddenly the players are believing them. Suddenly they're saying, listen, we can go somewhere here. Like we've seen what happened with Waterford last year, you know, and that poor campaign, unfortunately, you know, it kind of carried over into the championship. So I think it's important that you go out and you give it everything, but at the same time, that the aim would be to find players as opposed to winning the league.
Tommy, how big a factor is Liam Sheedy going to play in the course of hurling over the next couple of weeks and months?
Yeah, big factor, Owen, because everything Liam Sheedy touches seems to turn to gold. Like I know him from the bank side of things. He works at the Bank of Ireland, does very well with the bank in regards the customers, the people working with him in the bank. They all have so much time for him. You know, he's a good guy. He's really able to get guys to rally around him. He went off and, you know, he was a pundit for the Sunday game, did very well at that. We all saw what he done with Tipperary in 2010. And it wasn't even the results, really. It's what people say that are surrounding him. They all would nearly die for him. Like, he reminds me of Jose Mourinho when he was at Porto, when he was at Chelsea, when he was at Inter. Like, the players that time for Mourinho would die for him. They would literally do anything for him. And he made him feel $1 million. Like, he made him feel like they were the best players in the world. And I think he's having that effect. Like, any stories you're hearing coming out with Tipperary at the moment, they're all positive stories. They're training really hard. You hear guys not going to weddings. He's after making Seamus Callanan captain. You know, Seamus Callanan captain was a significant. You know, because he didn't name him straight away. He went back, saw how training was going, and, you know, Seamus must be sticking his hand up, showing great leadership qualities, because Liam Sheedy wouldn't have picked him to be captain if he didn't think he was the right guy. And he did the same thing with Owen Kelly back when he came in and managed Tip in 2009, 2010. So, yeah, there's positive signs for Tipperary with Liam Sheedy there, and he just seems to be a guy that gets everyone to rally around him.
If Sheedy is Jose Mourinho, then Brian Cody is obviously Sir Alex Ferguson in this whole narrative. How big a say are Kilkenny going to have here? Is it a sense that there is sort of a fight back from them required this year, or are they actually a bit closer than we think, Tommy?
They're closer than you think, I reckon. They're growing as a team. Like, they had a magnificent campaign last year for young guys coming in. So many young guys coming together. This year, why have they a chance? They have a chance because, to me, like, there's no one. We've seen it last year. Everyone was able to beat everybody else. Nobody feared any team in last year's championship or league, and I think it'll be the very same in this year's league and championship. So for Kilkenny, they still have star players with a great mix of youth. You can't beat youth on. They come in with enthusiasm. They come in with confidence, and then if you have the older guys to kind of help them along, then you have the makings of a team that can challenge. So I think, listen, I'm not going to be predicting them to win the All-Ireland. My predictions lie elsewhere, but they have a chance to challenge for the All-Ireland, no doubt about it.
In your second cousin, your same name, Tommy Walsh, what sort of player is he going to be?
He's you know, I've been watching the last few years with the club, seen him since he was a very young guy. He's brilliant, a brilliant player, and he's fast, really, really quick. And, you know, especially the way guys are playing the ball around now at the inter-county level, like, everyone is just, you know, speed, 100 miles an hour, and he'll be well able for the pace of the game. The only thing is, he's young. So he'll need a bit of luck. Like, you can't beat luck when it comes to playing inter-county or playing top-level sports. You know, a guy getting injured, then suddenly you get in, play a few good games. Like, I remember playing St. Kieran's College, the under-16 panel was named, and a few of us lucky enough to get on it, and we were playing our first league game, and Cha Fitzpatrick, you know, Cha's probably one of the best midfielders I've ever played with. He was absolutely brilliant. And his brother, he had a brother that was a great cornerback, Dick Fitzpatrick, and Dick was played to play cornerback. We were playing, I think it was Peters below in Wexford, and I was a sub, and before the game Dick got sick. And this is the first match, and I came in. It must have been the first sub for the cornerback position, and stayed on the team, and we ended up winning the championship. So you can't be a bit of luck going. So hopefully he gets the same luck maybe that I was.
Fingers crossed from his perspective. And there's just a couple of other counties you wanted to touch on briefly, Tommy. Clare is one of them. I'm very interested in Clare this year because they clearly aren't that far away. But is that almost... Is there a threat with that as well, Tommy? Because you almost want something to change. You almost want to find this obvious thing. And I know Shane O'Donnell isn't there this year, or maybe they can try and get him back for the business end of the summer. But there isn't exactly a tangible thing that they can point to and say we can make a big improvement in that area, because they were so good last year.
Yeah, and I was very, like, themselves and Waterford would be my tips for to win the Lee MacCarthy this summer.
Right.
Why? I think the Clare guys have their mojo back. It wasn't going to happen overnight. And they were playing so structured for so long. Like the likes of Tony Kelly. If you're following last year's club matches below in Clare, Tony Kelly scored 1-9 from play in the semi-final. I think they were playing against O'Callaghan Mills. He scored 1-11 in an earlier round as well. Like, these guys just need to be let go, and I think they play a lot more positive the last year. You know, there wasn't as many sharp puck outs. You know, you have to be able to mix it. We hear Liam Sheedy coming in earlier on in the week saying you can't play 15 on 15. Listen, we all know that, but you still have to play a positive attacking hurling. They're the teams that are winning the All-Irelands. They're the teams that are winning the big prizes. And I felt last year Clare definitely made a much more positive step in regards playing positive hurling and attacking hurling. You have Peter Duggan up front. We've seen what he done last summer, John Conlon. So they have the strong guys to puck the ball up. Then you have the likes of Tony Kelly, Podge Collins, you have McInerney, you have all these guys, Conor McGrath, you know, floating around the wings. David Reedy had a great summer last summer. Ian Galvin coming off the bench played well. So they have the players, I think, when they're let go at it. And I thought last year, suddenly they were starting to win games. They got to Croke Park for the first time since 2013. They're in a second Munster final in a row. So I think the tide is turning for Clare, and I think they will have a strong summer.
And I need to ask you about your Waterford mentioned there. Like, there is some talk that it's going to be a completely different side. You expect big things, obviously, from Padraig Fanning and his team this year.
I do. Now, this is nothing against last year's management or whatever like that. It's Padraig Fanning is a new manager. Usually when a new manager comes in, it just kind of gives a new lease of life to a team. It gives a new energy, new excitement, because everybody suddenly thinks, I have a chance of playing here. What's going to be different? And I think, you know, a lot of these guys have won under 21 All-Ireland and won it convincingly 2 or 3 years ago. You know, they beat everyone by a good number of scores. So I see the likes of Ozzie Gleeson, the light up front especially, because I think they will play a lot more attacking. Listen to Padraig Fanning, the way he's given his interviews, he's definitely open to playing a few different styles. So I'd imagine they'll play a lot more attacking. So suddenly when the ball goes up to the 2 Bennett guys, they're not playing against maybe 3 and 4 extra defenders. It'll be up maybe man on man. You have Patrick Curran, a wonderful underage player. You have Pádraig O'Mahony. We won't see him until after Ballygunner finished in the club championship. But another guy that loves going around playing with the ball. So I think Waterford have they've a wonderful hurlers, and they also have a wonderful age kind of profile. You know, you have the Brick. He's the only guy maybe in his mid-30s. Again, a guy to win the ball, kind of a John Conlon, kind of a Peter Duggan, strong man that can win the ball. So they will be able to mix it up. So I expect this year, if they can get a good start to the year, they can definitely go on and win the All-Ireland.
Tommy, could 2019 be an even better year for hurling than last year was?
Yeah, why not, Owen? Why not? The teams there's still no standout team. They're all they're all kind of wonderful hurlers, if we like. So I think, why not? The home and away is brilliant. Like, I would love to see if Waterford have games below in Welsh Park. Imagine the crowds. Imagine trying to beat Waterford down in Welsh Park. Maybe a crowd of 6,000 or 7,000 people all shouting for Waterford. They had no home games last year. So I think the home and away thing, it just brings pure excitement to the towns. It brings a confidence. We seen last year how much home advantage, play. So suddenly, if you're the overwhelming favourite, if you have to go play away, go down to maybe Wexford Park, go down to Welsh Park, suddenly then you're not the favourite that you thought you were, and anything can happen. So yes, I think it can definitely be another brilliant summer, and hopefully it'll be even better than last year.
Tommy, enjoy the weekend's hurling. We'll chat to you again soon.
Thanks, lads. Best of luck.